Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th, The Sky in Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and Sonny's Pizzeria. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment lovers, to the sesquicentennial of episodes, number 150. And coming up Monday, the 10th of October, will be the third anniversary of the Dave Holly Hour. Thank you, everyone, from guests to those of you that are listening, downloading, sharing, everything else, to my wife putting up with me, and all of the great people that have been a part of this. Certainly, thank you so much. It's a learning experience continually. Speaking of learning, this week, we're going to learn about the print business and how Allyson Morgan of Prints and Repeats doesn't just help local artists make prints, but also organizes pop-up art shows. Then mighty Corson Art Players, Marisa Moser and Dave Bakke tell us about MCAP's production of American Hero, which opens their 40th season October 14th. Plus, we'll tell you who gets this week's honorable mention, as well as draw for another winner of Pizza with a Podcaster. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. If you're a regular listener, you know that quite often when it comes to this part, I like to say, whatever you're drinking is probably going to be dependent upon, or whatever you hold your drink in will be dependent upon what you are drinking. For me, it's typically Jack Daniels Diet Coke with a lime, so I have it in a nice, a highball glass. Or, somebody might be having a glass of milk, or maybe somebody's having a cup of coffee. But this weekend deep toast goes out to October. And finally feeling like fall, but we've had some decent days so far. We're going to have some chilly ones too, but at least we get to see all those great colors of the leaves before they all end up on the ground. So, most appropriately this time, we should probably hoist a mug of beer to October. Oktoberfest. It is time to pick a lucky winner of Pizza with a Podcaster. Everyone that follows the Dave Holly Hour on Facebook automatically entered. Also, if you follow on Instagram, you're automatically entered. And we happen to draw one name each week, and this week we draw the name of Gene Young, who probably has been listening since episode number 1. Gene was a big fan of mine when I was in terrestrial radio here in the Sioux Falls market, and always appreciate not just his listenership, more importantly, his friendship. So congratulations, Gene. We will be in touch with you because you're getting yourself a free pizza from Sonny's Pizzeria. Congratulations. Pizza with a Podcaster, brought to you by Sonny's Pizzeria, right across from USF at 26th and Waltz, and Sonny's at 81 on South Phillips. Check out the very fun, incredibly flavorful menu on Sonny'sPizzeria.com, where you can get some jowl-dropping, show-stopping, thin crust pizza. Honorable mention. So what has made Dave smile in this past week, be happy, joyous, etc., etc.? Well, honorable mention this week goes out to Cody Henricks. You've heard him on this show before. He is the curator at the Washington Pavilion. He had his own art show this past weekend at Ipso Gallery. It was very well attended. Cool stuff. And, it's always great, not only when you hear about somebody, and then you go out and see them presenting their show, and it was spectacular. So, Cody, congratulations. You are this week's winner of the coveted Dave Holly Hour Honorable Mention. Coming up later in the show from mighty Corson Art Players American Hero Cast, Marisa Moser and Dave Bakke. Coming up next, printer Allyson Morgan on the Dave Holly Hour.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffitt Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
For him, every day is a Holly day. Here again, Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everybody. You know what I'm going to say. You've got me. You can read me like a book by now, can't you? That I'm going to start with. It's always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. Always a pleasure to have repeat guests, and even more of a pleasure to have somebody on for the first time, which is our case today with Allyson Morgan. How are you?
I'm very good.
Glad to hear that. You happen to have a little business called Prints and Repeat.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's a fun thing because, most people that we talk to are specifically, well, I shouldn't say specifically because most dabble in a lot of different things here. But yours isn't just, hey, I'm going to make some cool stuff and sell it. Your big thing, your big push is to help other people sell their stuff, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
What got you started on that then?
Well, I went to college for graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
And then my first job with graphic design was actually in a small print shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then that print shop job led to the next print shop job. And I want to say the second one or so, I started scanning for artists and scanning their paintings and printing for them at a print shop. But when that company, I was just, let's move on to a different job and find something else. A lot of people were looking for me and trying to find out where I was now because they missed that service. And I thought, well, I've always thought about having my own business.
Right, yeah.
And
American dream.
Yeah, yeah. And I think when you work for a very small company, you tend to learn a lot of hats. Mm-hmm. So I kind of learned all the different features like ordering inventory and all this stuff. And I'm pretty independent already. So I just kind of started up on my own about 7 years ago and been going ever since. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. But what made you especially, delve into that part of it? Because if you're in a print shop, like I said, a lot of hats. You could have chosen a lot of different ways to go. But is it your love specifically of art that kind of led you down that path?
Well, a very specific story, a couple of different stories, I guess. One,
we have time.
So one was, people have gotten to know me by this way. I'm just the kind of person who would say, sure, I'll try. Mm-hmm. An artist came in and said, hi, I have this really weird paper to print on at this old job that I used to work at. And they said, hey, could you print on this for me? I will sure try. It might get torn up through the printer, but I can sure try. So I just put it in the printer, and sure enough, it worked great. So then I created that kind of relationship with that artist. And then another artist, a different time, an artist came up to me and said, hey, can I get some prints for this painting? And I went through the process of, I just said, sure, I'll try. And because they went elsewhere in town and couldn't find that service. So they went to me at that job, and I made prints for them and everything. And he said, must have come back to me later on and said, hey, you realize I sold those prints and I was able to eat that week because I sold prints of my work.
Well, that's nice to hear, isn't it?
So that one was, I got to say, probably like 10 years ago that it happened. Mm-hmm. And those are little things like that
Right.
kind of motivate you to
Give you a nudge.
motivate me to do what I do.
Yeah.
Just helping people. I do like to help people through the
You know,
process.
I love prints, and I love original artwork. I love all arts and entertainment. But the one thing I've always wondered about, and now I can ask an expert, is how do you make a print? Because I think there for such a long time between John Green and the guy that's got his own place up in Watertown. What's his name again? Terry.
Terry Rickman,
Between all those, especially being in an area that supports Ducks Unlimited and Pheasants Forever and so forth, people were gathering and collecting prints and so forth. And I kept thinking, so how do you actually manufacture that?
Oh, sure.
Take us through that process so that we can have a better understanding when we buy one.
Oh, yeah. So I have a way of digitizing it. I have a scanner. Gets a really high quality image. And then when I open it up in Photoshop, I can see the color and everything. I'll always print a sample of it onto paper, check it and everything, make sure it looks right. Because I want to be able to lay them next to each other and not be able to decipher which one is which. So that's my goal.
That's your litmus test on that.
Yeah, so I have a couple different kinds of paper, but my goal ultimately is digitizing it, high quality, getting that file to work with, and then printing out samples, make sure the color looks good. But yeah, I have the certain kind of pigment ink on the printer to make sure it's an actual Giclée print and everything. So, yeah.
So what you're saying is you're not on HP Insta Ink?
No.
Okay.
No. Yep, not a toner copy or anything.
It's buy for me.
It's a 12 color printer, so it has these big ink tanks in it.
Okay.
And there's 12 of them. So
how big is it physically?
The one I have is can do up to 44 inches wide. So people have said it looks like a piano or a tanning bed in my house. So it's a pretty big machine.
Well, it's no longer a house; it's a business.
Yes,
it's a place of business.
Yes.
Write-offs, we call those.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I definitely measured the square footage of my living room, and that's a write-off every year. So
That's
absolutely.
For sure. What's the most interesting thing you've had as a print? And then I want to go back to your original story about, hey, I had this type of paper.
Oh, sure. So I've definitely had some interesting times with artwork. I've had stuff that's really neat that I am able to do is someone says, oh, hi, my mom passed away. She had this canvas, but everybody wants one. So I have the capability to scan it, digitize it, make an exact duplicate, and allow the entire family to have a copy of it. So I've had stuff like that all the way to there's a couple that was fighting over a painting in the divorce.
Oh.
So I got to digitize it and make a print for the other spouse. And
do you hand your card out to lawyers now?
I thought about it. I thought if anybody knows, if you're really arguing who gets the painting, and then yeah, I can help out with stuff like that. So
that's fun. Okay, so earlier you said that kind of the nudge was somebody that had come in and said, I have this particular paper. And you said, okay, so I'll try it. If it gets stuck in the printer, it gets stuck in the printer. You're dealing with some pretty high dollar printers, though, aren't you, at that point? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a very expensive machine.
And so you really don't want to get things stuck in there too often, do you?
Well,
or have you become a mechanic?
I kind of call myself like this, paper jam wizard, because I can, if and then I'll go work at offices in the past, and oh no, the paper jammed. I said, let me do it. Don't worry about it, because you can't just pull on it, because then you get particles in the printer, and then you're in big trouble. But you just kind of follow the instructions, and it's fine most of the time. If it's really, really thin, then I probably would just say no, because it might just get stuck really, really bad.
So what is the thinnest paper that you do print on then?
It's probably as thin as like a gift bag tissue paper.
Oh, which reminds me, I have a gift bag for you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's fairly thin, as long as it's sturdy enough to kind of lay flat. I just feed it through the front, and the printer kind of takes it and just feeds it through and prints on. So yeah, you'd be surprised. It does pretty well.
What kind of software and apps and so forth do you work with then?
I just use Photoshop mainly to open up the files and edit things and color correct things. So yeah, people have different things to send me. I can usually work with just about everything in Photoshop, but Photoshop worked with quite a mainly Photoshop is my photo editing. Otherwise, I know like the Adobe software to as a graphic designer. But yeah.
I think every graphic designer knows that, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
So when somebody comes in and says, "Hey, Allyson, I want you to do this," you're like, how busy are you right now? So, what are we talking about if somebody wants something for Christmas?
Oh, sure. I usually, because it's my full-time job, it's the only thing I'm doing. So
Good for you.
get people that say that all the time. How busy are you? Where are you at? What's going on? I've been able to turn things around in a couple of hours. There was someone actually who brought me a painting that was, I want to say about 4 foot by 5 foot. And they said, oh no, I forgot. I'm supposed to donate it at an auction tonight. I have 4 hours until the event. Oh, this isn't ideal. But they brought it in. I was able to scan it and make prints for them in, I want to say it was about 4 to 6 hours. So not ideal, but yeah, most of the time I'd say just a few days to turn things around. So I know sometimes businesses, more specialty stuff can be a couple of weeks, but it just depends on the order. Most of the time it's just a few days.
Yeah. So when you went to school to become a graphic designer, were you thinking this is the ultimate? No. What was it that you had as a dream?
Well, I was probably in 5th grade when I did my first design ever. And I got such a kick out of it because it was my dad's, it was like a Boy Scouts waffle breakfast thing, and I had to make a flyer.
You did the flyer?
Yeah, in Word document, and I had to have been in 5th grade, and it was just such the experience of asking someone what they want, putting it all together, and someone going, oh yeah, that looks great, or oh, can we change this around? Oh, just kind of putting that all together for someone is it's weird how just helping someone complete a project can turn into a whole business.
Well, and at what point then after that, 5th grade, you're probably not thinking about a business per se, but, do you recall the first time you got paid for doing any graphic work?
Yeah, I think there's little projects here and there. Someone says, I'm willing to pay you. Well, yeah, it's a service.
Instead of, we're going to let you do this for exposure.
Yes. Which I'm definitely, if I can have artists do things to get paid to do it, I don't want to put any artist stuff up on the wall for just exposure. I want to make sure everyone gets paid. But yeah, it was, so 2015 was when I got started, and I did my first little bit of scanning, and someone was paying me for that. But I think the main part of it is I just kind of wanted something more independent. My parents are farmers, so I was kind of used to that flexibility. Just when you work for a company for a long time where you just kind of go, oh, I wish it would just be done this way. And when they go under and they closed, I thought, well, now's my opportunity to kind of jump in and
do it the Allyson way.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to just be able to, when you have an idea, and just do it.
Yeah. Now, do people also, besides bringing things in just to be scanned and put onto a different format and so forth, do they also come in and say, hey, can you tweak this? Can you go ahead, have a little fun? Do they ever give you a free rein?
I wish they would. I love to do that. I ended up kind of making, I just like a lot of artists do, where they make art and say they're not an artist. I do the same thing. Say I make art, not an artist. But then again, I always say if you get paid to do it, you're a professional artist.
True.
You have to say it. But I made some artwork myself, and I just messed around with it. Just messed with the colors, made them all sorts of different, directions. And that was really fun. But most of the time I have people that want it to be exactly the same. So yeah, I just utilize my own freedom with my own artwork that way.
When somebody does bring something to you, you've talked about you scan a lot and so forth, but if they have something that, was not made in a vector format or anything along that line, fancy, but they want to have it a little larger, are you able to work with that?
If they want to be vector format, or if they want it to be
enlarged,
enlarged.
where normally, that's a JPEG that's only 125.
Sure.
And they need it to be, let's just use a table size. They want to put something on a table. Can you help them with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I have people that bring me something, or even if they bring me their 8x10 painting and they say, can I get 8x10 prints of this? And I say, well, you can always get larger prints or smaller prints. And sometimes that kind of baffles people because they don't realize I can adjust it. But yeah, I can definitely make that difference. I always say if you're using your phone, most of the time those images are going to be pretty small.
True.
Pretty low resolution. So you don't have a whole lot of wiggle room with that, but that is possible. I've used people's phone pictures. The only thing I say is to just not send it through Messenger, because things like Facebook and Instagram tend to compress the image. So as long as they email me the photo, I can do a whole lot with it.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm thinking already. Scheming. All right. So one of the things you did recently, as part of this, is being an outreach for other artists, is you held a pop-up over at Sunday's Pizzeria.
Yes.
A show sponsor, by the way. And I went there because I had already. Well, I think my wife had even gone ahead and said to Crystal Richards that she needed some earrings. So had to go get that. And I've got Crystal working on a special project for me as well. And it seemed like, because I got there late, but it seemed like everybody was having a pretty good day at their booths.
Yes. I'm very happy. I've done smaller events before, kind of just gallery curated walls in different businesses. But this was my first event where I think it was 25 plus artists there. Just a matter of I had my spreadsheet and I have my organization and I put it all together, but I talked to everybody afterwards too, just making sure how'd you do, is there anything I could have changed, but it sounded like everyone was happy with it. I tried to keep the price pretty low for entry fee and everything. Especially because it's kind of a promise for how many people are showing up. I think my goal is to hit about 1,000 interested going on Facebook. So at least a few hundred people were there, so
that's
everyone
excellent.
Seemed to make money, and that made me happy. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I loved everything that was there. I didn't get a chance because I had another event that I had to get to later, so I didn't have a chance to stop by every place, and regrettably didn't have a chance to stop at yours. But I saw your little sign out there and so forth, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. And then we run into each other a couple of weeks ago out at the Roller Dolls benefit that they were having. It's like, well, okay, let's get our calendars out right now. And so here we are on a Monday afternoon, enjoying a glass of wine at our wine bar. And first of all, let's clink on that then. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show today. Certainly appreciate it. Are you able to take something, because obviously a lot of the craze these days, I should say, is when people have their own photos and then they want to put on a canvas and so forth. That seems to be pretty big. But what are some of the other things that you can do then?
So I have a heat press and a sublimation printer. So I am able to do anywhere from, vinyl lettering, just vinyl lettering text on things, press down. I've done, and then the sublimation part of it is more the full color image stuff. So that I've started with products like canvas bags, t-shirts. It's kind of more about like just making sure I find a good source for those materials. But yeah, I've done some products like that too. I do have a coffee cup press, so I'm able to do stuff like that. So yeah.
You see, my wife just got a Cricut, and she's ready to go whole hog on it and so forth. And we talk about things. And I love hats. I also love coffee mugs. Some easy stuff, no brainer. But where do you find a hat that doesn't have that damn seam in the middle of it?
Oh, I would have no idea. It's doing that research to try to find it is it's definitely a good question.
Where do you get one that doesn't have that thing that you're going to be printing over top or anything? But anyway, so I'm guessing that yours is like a growing-up Cricut times 10 or something.
Well, I actually just used something very similar. They call it just like a hobby vinyl cutter.
Okay.
Very similar. It's kind of how a lot of people get started. It's why I haven't gone too big in promoting it yet, because I'm just kind of getting started, feeling it out. I just have a silhouette. So just kind of a very similar version, but I do have a very, very big heat press. So they do say that those tend to work really well and almost better than the Cricut ones, because sometimes they don't have enough pressure.
Right.
This one's the big handle that if I do it all day, I get my shoulder blades are burning and everything. So it's definitely a big project. But yeah, I have that big heat press for projects, so I can do pretty big orders.
Arts can be exercised too.
Oh yeah.
So prior to the graphic part, you said your dad had gotten you into that by having you make a flyer. Did you have other artistic ideas and so forth?
I was more the kid who they just always called creative. And I always thought, oh, yeah, I'm right brain. I'm so just kind of always thought that of myself. But then I realized how left brain I am. And I think you kind of have to have a little bit of a split with that where
yes, you do.
You enjoy the creative side of things. You can kind of open yourself up to different options. But with owning a business, you have to be very, very organized because taxes and
true. And the other thing is,
so.
When you talk about creatives being in business, is creatives tend to be a little more, hey, let's do this, let's do that, blah, blah, blah. And then the business part of it has to be a little conservative sometimes and draw back and say, not yet.
Yep.
Yeah, and you have to hold off. So what's the big thing that you would love to have for your business right now that you've got on the big wish list?
I have so many printers on my wish list, but they are so
You're going to fill up that front room, aren't you?
I am so out of room in that office, but I call it's an eco-solvent printer. It just would enable me to do outdoor stuff. So right now I have a distributor who does my outdoor stuff, so I can always do small format outdoor printing for people if they need to. But yeah, someday I'll to have a copier on my wish list. It sounds crazy, but I would love to have a toner copier just so I can do postcards and all that stuff my own, because that's how I grew up, but that's what my career has always been, was small format. So I don't know, I like doing the small format copies where you do the cards and design all that and set it up for print, and that's always been fun for me.
What has been the most challenging part of doing this on your own?
Patience. And it's more trusting myself, for one thing. When I get a little nervous, like, oh, I haven't had an order in 3 days. It's over. That's it.
The well's gone dry.
Yeah, and no more money whatsoever. And then an order comes in.
Which is what Santa Claus says December 26th.
Yeah, yep. So it's a little bit of patience and trusting myself because, things have gone well in the past. It's not just going to stop and be done. But, that and just making sure I'm being responsible with my expenses. So,
what has been feedback from the artists that you work with at this point?
I've actually been called a wizard and a magician.
Oh, good.
Before, because I show people what I've done, show them that this is the brush stroke you can see I'll show them the computer screen or the print, and they say, oh my word, you're a magician, you're a wizard. Ooh, that, brush the shoulder. That feels pretty cool. So, I like that I'm able to provide that service. Because I know there's other printing companies, but just to have that as a,
true,
something to provide
with the
people.
fact that there are a lot of printing companies, you have to have a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have to be able to go with that. Did I also see that you do posters?
Posters?
Yes.
Yes. Just small format. I can definitely do. Essentially my business, I have
like
that
the 14
featured,
by 17 type and so forth. And
Yep, I have. My printer is just inkjet too, so it can do the poster paper, the 20-pound bond, lightweight paper. So there's all sorts of stuff just in the large format printing industry that I'm able to do, just flyers like that. So, yeah.
So was there any hip hip hooray, a shout out for joy the first time you ever worked in a large format? And it was successful, because obviously there's trial and error.
Oh, the amount of times that I just have both my hands just kind of on the top of the printer, my head hanging down. I go, please. Feels like there's a lot of praying involved. You go, come on, please. Will it just happen? So, yeah, there's a lot of stress, and that comes with, because you're working with this machine and trying to have it come out. So yeah, going from the small format to the large format. It's pretty similar in process, where you create something, have to adjust the settings, and hope that it does what it's supposed to do. Because sometimes paper will jam.
Right, and the thing that I've noticed, because I do a lot of promotion for my podcast, stickers, etc., and things like that, is that I can never send something light enough, because it always gets darkened when it comes back to me.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes I go, oh, I paid for that. Well, now what am I to do with it?
Yeah, it's part of it is understanding the print settings, because there's all these profiles that you have to make sure are absolutely correct, and all the different windows that pop up, and everything's very particular. And then there's also just, when you print with me, I always make sure, do I like it? I'm not just, even if you send me something, I'm not just going to send it to print and go, sorry, because, then you're kind of stuck with something.
Get a chance for the proof and everything.
Yeah, that either, and I used to do more proofs, but now I just kind of go with, do I think it looks good? Because I'm really picky. And if it's too dark, I'll just send a picture with my phone and text someone, hey, looks kind of like this. Are you good with this? Because I can adjust it. And I'm not just also going to just adjust things either, because that's not going to win any favors.
Yeah. So, when somebody hires you, obviously, they're not just hiring, quote unquote, a printer. Yeah. They're hiring a graphic artist. They're hiring a designer. They're hiring someone that can be an editor.
Yeah. And I like that. I'm glad that people have felt comfortable enough with me to trust me with the project. The fact that, I am working out of my home and people are bringing their possessions to me to work with me. I'm glad that people have been able to trust me, because that's what I push for. That's what I'm trying to make people understand. It's like, hey, I'm here for you. I'll price everything out. And, the pricing direction too, when people say, oh, I've never done this before, I get a lot of that. Never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll work with you the whole way. And if you're not happy with it, we don't have to do it. We can do smaller prints. We can do, cheaper paper, or just, making sure that everyone's happy, compared to just, you're not stuck in this expensive project that you
Well,
don't know
at
what
least,
you're doing.
from what I saw on your website, you are more than reasonable in your pricing.
Yeah, I try to be. I try to, because that's it's for resale.
Right.
I don't want to have these retail prices that people have to then try to turn around and sell things for even higher, and then they're having a hard time. It's trying to keep that as a fair, and that's what I like to hear, is I've been told I have fair pricing.
Yeah.
Which means to me it's at least a good value for what they're getting. Yeah.
Value was the key, no doubt about that. I used to work retail a bajillion years ago, and there was one of the distributors of ties and dress shirts and so forth. And he had a poster on his wall that said, price, quality, selection. Choose two.
Yeah.
And I've always loved that and thought of that. If you're going to have a higher price, then you better have really good quality or really incredible service to go along with it.
Right.
But, it's tough to get that meld of all three. So when somebody can tell you they have value, that you have value, I've always thought that's about the closest you can get to that.
Yeah.
To being able to do that. All right. Before we wrap up with a couple of questions I always love to end with, let's make sure we get the word out for you then. If people want to hire you, put you to work as a printer for them, especially if they're an artist, what do they need to do to contact you?
I have the Instagram, the Facebook, and a website. All three will have my phone number and email address. I've had people text me, call me, email me, message me through. I prefer at least my business, Facebook or Instagram. But if, someone messaged me on my personal one too. So
you're not going to turn it down.
Yeah, I keep it pretty organized. So I have a whole spreadsheet with a method of contact. So if you contact me on anything, I'll make sure to get back. And I'm pretty quick to get back to people. So I'm on my phone all the time.
Yeah,
so
I'm hoping a lot of work comes your way. I know some of mine will be. All right. So the other thing that I always like to end with is, first of all, when you're not part of the arts and entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by, or what do you like to take in as art?
Sorry, could you say that again?
When you're not being part of the creative scene in the arts and entertainment, what do you like to be entertained by, or what type of art do you like to go see, and so forth?
Oh, sure. So the type of art that I like to go see, I am definitely a big First Friday fan.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the Art and Wine Walk. That's awesome. I always love paying attention to the Sculpture Walk every year and watching that change out. That's been a great program that Sioux Falls has had. I always love going to the pavilion and seeing different shows there. I love it when little random businesses that have nothing to do with art host an art show, which is why I really enjoyed the Sunny's show.
Yep.
It's why I want to try to do more things like that. So if other businesses want to have shows at their place, that I would be someone to contact about that. But yeah, I like going to shows for the main part where I don't even get through the door and I've talked to 3 people and hugged 3 people already. I like being part of that scene. I used to be very, very, very shy. So finding that art community has been really rewarding. People are pretty cool. And it's been really neat.
And in this particular area, very talented.
Yes.
That's the thing that blows me away.
Oh, yeah.
All the time as to how much talent we have in the visual arts, in the spoken word, in the written word, in the music, in the singing, songwriting, photography, you name it. We have incredible talent in this community. No doubt about that. All right. So then the other wrap-up question, any other hobbies?
Hobbies. When you own your own business and it's all you do, it tends to be all you do. I've been actually trying to find hobbies. I've been playing a Pokemon card playing game.
Okay.
Which I would have never thought about doing that, but my husband got me into it, and it's kind of a fun strategy game just to understand how everything works. And then besides that, I have 2 dogs. So
What breed?
I have a 7-pound poodle.
Okay.
And then a 40-pound schnauzer. So, and they're best friends, which is
Oh,
fun.
that makes
but,
it work well.
Yeah, my little coworkers and having those as office buddies is pretty cool.
I have Lucy the cat as my office mate.
Very nice.
Yeah. All right. Allyson Morgan, thank you so much. Appreciate the time that you spent here on the Dave Holly Hour, and look forward to seeing more of your shows pop up and doing some business with you, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You're quite welcome. We'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Helping women feel empowered and confident is what Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th does, while supplying high-quality clothing that fits your lifestyle, personality, and price point. Whether you want comfy and cozy, casual attire, or something for a special occasion, Posh provides quality, selection, and value. They carry sizes extra small to 3X and have something appropriate for any age. Feel empowered and get confident. Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or exokairos.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
He's a bit flirtatious, but most of all, fun. Once again, here's Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everybody. Always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. Brian Schipper knows that. He's been a guest many times. That man from MCAP, Mighty Corson Art Players. But we have a fun one tonight. Yes, we do, because I always like to say it's nice to be able to have repeat guests on. Marisa Moser, welcome.
Hi.
Good
thanks
to
for
have you
having
back.
me. Thanks for having me.
And if you're suddenly saying, that voice sounds familiar, well, if you've not seen her on stage, which you have missed out on, then you might have heard her on this podcast previously when she was on, but also she's on every single week now because she did the voiceover work for our premier advertiser sponsor, Posh
That's
Boutique.
me.
Yes, that's you with all those wonderful lines. Well written, I might add, by, that would be me. Okay, but now a first-time guest, Dave Bakke, who happens to be a board member out at MCAP. And from what I understand, Dave, you're getting back into the acting gig for the first time in a while?
Yeah, it's been about 4 or 5 years since I last appeared on stage, and
well,
felt it was just time.
Yeah, great to have you. First of all, great to have you on the show, as we are here to talk about MCAP's production of American Hero, which is going to open on Friday the 14th. Are you thankful it wasn't a year earlier and it had been Friday the 13th?
Right? Yeah.
All right, but or actually that would be next year, wouldn't it? So first of all, Dave, tell us about you jumping back into acting then, but being on the board all this time.
Well, I've also gotten back on the board. I was on the board a long time ago and took a little sabbatical, and then Brian talked me back into it. And
he has a way about him with that, doesn't he? Yeah.
He smooth talked me into getting on the board, and after being on the board and being back around it, I decided I should try the acting thing again. So I auditioned and was fortunate enough to be cast and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
All right. And how are the nerves right now?
Right now, we're off book starting tonight, so it's been a little bit hairy, a little more nose in the book and listening to the recorded lines, but not bad. No, it's come back pretty quickly.
Yeah. All right. So first time for you in about 4 or 5 years acting again, getting back on the board, getting all into it and so forth. Marisa Moser, you have been doing a lot in that time frame, but first time for MCAP, correct?
Yes, this is the first show that I'm doing with MCAP. I've seen so many of their shows. I've been a big fan for a while, and I know so many of the people who go and do shows out there. And so it's been a lot of going to see my friends, having fun there, and thinking, oh, I should swing out here more often. And I have now.
Join in the fun.
It's been super, super fun so far. I am so glad that I've gotten to finally, do a show here. These
Excellent.
people, it's been really cool.
Well, it's about time you got out there, too.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you in so many different places.
I'm sorry?
I said I've seen you in so many different places and so many different productions. It's like, well, this is natural.
Yeah.
You want to hit them all, the best that you can.
Yeah.
All right. So, Dave, tell us, first of all, about, MCAP's production of American Hero coming up starting on the 14th. And tickets, I understand, are now available, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And what are we looking at in terms of the time frame of the show, besides the dates, times that will be starting on stage, and then as well, how do we get those tickets?
Okay. Friday and Saturday shows are 7:30, and the Sunday matinee is 2:30. So we run those 2 weekends, starting the 14th and ending on Sunday the 23rd. So 6 total runs, and they can call the MCAP number. And I'm ashamed to say I don't have that.
Oh, we'll post it.
Okay, yeah. Good. Thank you. Yeah.
We'll lead people to it.
Ticket line is open right now.
Yeah.
Call in and get them. They're going fast, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about the show then. American Hero. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And so for my benefit as well, since I'm, getting older, don't necessarily remember it all. So give us a synopsis of the plot and then what we're going to enjoy about it so much.
It centers around the 3 sandwich artists who work for the sandwich shop. And their struggles as minimum wage workers. All 3 of them have different difficult things that they're going through in their lives, and those come out and they play out the different battles that come up, and the resolution at the end, which is a nice ending. And I play 4 different characters, so throughout I'm kind of that one that progresses the story as I pop in and pop out. But it really is the other 3 young people that are in the cast with us. They're just tremendous.
Yeah, some good people. Yeah. That's one of the great things I love about going up to Corson is the fact that may be a small theater in size, but boy, it is big on heart and big on talent. And Marisa Moser, I'm so happy that I will get to see you on that stage now because I already know you to be that.
Oh, I'm excited.
And so tell us about the parts parts that you have then, and what you look forward to most about this.
Oh, it's such a wonderful script. I play Sherry, who is the youngest employee there. She's 18 years old, and she's very much as 18 years old as you can get. She's very quiet and weird and insecure, and looks to her coworkers for leadership, and sort of fails to get it in a lot of ways. There's a lot of her coming into her own when she realizes that instead of looking for other people to step up to the plate, sometimes she has to. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that everyone goes through around that age, when you've just left school. Yeah, you've just left school and you realize, oh, I'm the adult now. I have to be the one to lead the charge in a lot of ways. And I think that that's something that a lot of young people can relate to a lot.
Including yourself?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there waiting for someone older to do something and realizing, oh, that's me now, and that's kind of nerve-wracking and fun.
Dave, are you going to enjoy most about it? The playing 4 different parts, or just the fact of being on stage again?
Playing the 4 different parts. I've done other plays where I've played multiple characters, so it's kind of natural to do that. You have to learn to differentiate between the characters so they don't think it's the same person up there, same character. And Brian has given me a lot of tips, and I actually play off these young people that I'm on stage with. They kind of give you a reaction that makes you feel good about what you're doing, and you kind of go with what you're getting, the feedback with what you're getting from them. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and they're mighty talented young people too, because the others are Ryan Howe and Macy Lynn, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and they've been doing a few things out of that theater for a while.
Yeah.
And in fact, they both have come off of recent one-person shows.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
And anytime you see somebody do that, that's just always a marvel. You know, especially for someone like me that, you know, acting has been long gone away because I can't memorize anything anymore, and to do a full show then for that. But what's been the most difficult part of putting this show together then?
Ooh, what is the most difficult part? Do you have anything to go off right away?
Well, you mentioned, Dave, talking about the memorization of the lines. And I keep talking about these other 3 actors that are in the cast with me, but they're so good at it. And then the other 2 that have just done their one-person shows, it makes me realize that if they can do that, I need to step up my game and remember my tiny little parts. You know, that. So it kind of puts the pressure on myself to perform up to the standard they've set. But it's the hardest part has been what I would call my longest uninterrupted speech part, where you have to ramble off without another line from another actor that kind of give you the clue. So,
and that's still just one of the characters at that point.
Yes, that's
You're
one.
not switching characters within that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been the hardest for me.
Yeah. Now, you were talking about the fact that, you know, you've got the 4 different characters. You want to make sure that the audience doesn't think of them only as one. So first of all, are you getting any costume type changes, you know, small if they may be and so forth, that help with differentiating those?
Yes. My wife, Cindy, is doing the costumes for this. And the first character I am is the sub shop owner. And I take on an Eastern European type of accent. It calls for some kind of an accent, indistinguishable, but it's a foreign accent. And another one, I play a man from corporate, so playing that straight up like myself. And another one, I'm in a dream scene with Marisa, and I play a 6-foot-tall sub sandwich. And the other one, I'm a very angry customer. So, but yes, costume changes. I do have a sub shop or a sub costume that I'm going to wear, and so my wife's got me in different costumes that hopefully will distinguish between that.
All right,
Very
so
different
that helps out. Which 2 out of the 4 are the most opposite that you really have to go, ooh, switch, come on, I got to be this person, or I got to be this sandwich?
I think the 2 bigger roles that are there, the sub shop owner, where I'm the foreigner who's owning the shop and trying to realize his own American dream maybe by franchising the sub sandwich shop, and the corporate guy who's coming in and playing the other end of that. We're kind of a heavy, but I also have my own bit of struggles too, like the sub shop or the sub workers do. You know, my own life is kind of a shambles, but so I have to play those 2 ends, and I got to think about that a bit.
Yeah. Marisa, you started young in acting.
Yeah.
As you continue to progress in your career, what do you find interesting about each role that you get?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I get 1 in per interview. That's my quota.
I think that you get to realize how. I think at a certain point you realize how you really can't. You have to start from scratch with every role. and you really have to start with scratch. You have to empathize with each character that you play, and then after you realize that, you start realizing these commonalities between characters. Where I think at a certain point, I start doing things where I'll relate the things that I connect with and things that I empathize with in one character with somebody that I've played, a couple years before, and I start thinking of certain things where you can improve. There's things now that I know that I didn't know a couple years ago, and so when you play this role that isn't really, it's not the same role, but it's, some people get to revisit roles and things. I've never gotten to do that before. I've never been able to go back and redo a show before. But I think there's a little element of that sometimes when you revisit a role with some of the knowledge that you've gained from another. And that's super useful, and also it's just an exciting thing to stumble upon and to realize that, you can do. So,
take us through your pre-show routine.
My pre-show
Do
routine.
you have any rituals? Do you have any superstitions or anything that you go through before you go on stage?
I'm a big stretcher.
Okay.
I'm very, I think, naturally a little bit detached from physicality in my everyday life. And so I really like to give my brain a break and really just, get a little space on the floor wherever I am backstage and stretch. I like, my favorite pre-show meal is McDonald's chicken nuggets. I really like to get myself a little chicken nugget box because it's light enough that, if I only have, 5 or 8 or something, it's light enough that it doesn't weigh me down, but it's also not, as inconsequential as a salad. It's like the perfect pre-show meal, I think. And then I don't finish the whole box. I leave a couple for intermission. Then I pop back real quick, check hair and stuff like that, and grab a few chicken nuggets.
So the dressing room's going to smell like chicken nuggets.
Usually my little area does, yeah. Chicken nuggets and hairspray.
And the other thing is, at Corson, there's not a lot of room backstage.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, Dave, what about you? What kind of superstitions, traditions, rituals that you go through to get ready?
I'm not an energy drinker, but I do, before every performance, I'll have a Red Bull.
Okay.
And I'm a pacer, too. After I get into costume,
right,
curtain, and run lines and run in my head, I'll walk back and forth in our basement, running things through my head and visualizing not where am I going to be, but where am I going to be when I'm saying this, and just trying to picture my upcoming scene. So that's what I do. I'm not a stretcher anymore. I used to run track and hurdle, but not anymore.
Well, you talked about the Red Bull. I just read. I happen to be hosting a trivia game this week that is all about superstitions, and one of the sports questions is about Wayne Gretzky from the NHL. He always drank a Diet Coke, a water, a Gatorade, and another Diet Coke in that same order before every game. But the interesting thing was, on his hockey stick, he put baby powder on it. And he said, you have to take care of those that take care of you.
Yeah,
so everybody has, different superstitions and so forth. So I was curious, I always like asking that question before people perform, because some people obviously have a variety of different things that they like to do. And so it's always a great question and fun answers that come about from that.
That is a good question. And I think because plays are so structured, you have to follow that path. I think as an actor, it's helped me start that pre-show by starting my own path and keeping the focus on what I'm going to do. So if the routine is the same pre-show, hopefully it's the same during the show.
It just gets you into like a zone of focus and also a comfort, I think, too. Yeah. I do like an energy
Go to the
drink.
happy place.
I do like an energy drink, but I'm
like
generally
you would
a
need
caffeine
it.
person. Yeah, I'm generally a caffeine person, so
So, Dave, what originally got you started in acting? What was the impetus that took place?
I was on a business trip in Montana, and my wife was on the MCAP board at the time. I had nothing to do with theater up until this story. She gave me a call. You know, I checked in with her every night. We checked back in the hotel, and how's it going? You know, she said, our upcoming play, we didn't have enough guys audition. Would you consider that? I said, no, I've never done acting. She said, really? It's a small role, please? So I said, okay, I'll try it. So I did, and of course I got the role.
Yeah.
And
what was that role?
I was Anthony Wilder in Enchanted April.
Okay.
Wonderful play, and talking about a wonderful play to get your feet wet with. Yeah. And the cast was, again, lifelong friends that from that first show learned a lot of lessons and got bit.
Yeah.
I've been in this will be my 14th show up at MCAP.
Oh, congratulations! So, that's excellent. You know what's so great is as we talk to people in the theater, especially, it's also true of all of the arts in this community, is the fact that it's a family, and everybody starts to think of that, and you know, you kind of have your own little family that you're going to have in production A. There's going to be another one in production B, but there's this one in NCAP. Then there's another that in all of the acting that everybody does and so forth. And that family just continues to grow. And I love seeing that. And it's just so fun to watch everybody, because I think that's what is so great about, the way that we've seen arts and entertainment in general explode. But I especially love the way that the community theater is exploding right now. You've got, besides the traditional ones, because MCAP, 40 years, Old Town, 40 years, 20 years for what's now the Premier Playhouse. But, think of all the years they've been in Sioux Falls, all total and so forth. But all the other small theater that's coming about, that's performing in places like a book co-op. And, the opportunities for everyone has been so great. And to see that these families just continue to grow. And, it's so fun because you can tell that happens. We're supposed to go in there and we know that, you're doing a great job as an actor. And because we're feeling that character, we're getting the emotion, we're getting everything we need to get out of that play or musical. But by the same token, we're going, boy, didn't so-and-so, that chemistry was amazing. Do you feel that on stage as well? When you've got a great chemistry with another actor, and it's just the fact that, hey, we're all in it together.
I mean, yeah, I think that's something you talk about, like community theater specifically, but I think that's really something that I've seen I think creators in general, in Sioux Falls especially, I think there's just that energy of being there for each other that I think is very, very beneficial for the growth of the arts in Sioux Falls so far. I think there's a lot of that feeling of we're in it together and we have a common goal, whether that is in like for a cast for a specific show, you have the common goal of the show, or larger than that, a common goal of entertaining people or providing art in Sioux Falls or growing more opportunities, things like that. I think that there's very much that energy to the community here that is super, super valuable and cool and unique. Yeah. But for sure, yeah, I think that part of every rehearsal process is getting to that point where as a cast you're thinking as a team. I think that it's something that I'm very much not a sports person. I've never been on a sports team before. But when I talk to people who do team sports, it sounds very similar.
Right.
At a certain point, you're working as a team, and it's not really, there's a lot of work you have to do as an individual, but at a certain point, it very much is no longer about an individual. It's less a group of singular creators, and it turns into one collaborative effort. And I think that you see that happen with every show that you do, I think, at least in my experience.
I agree. I've thought of that every time I've been on stage. You're all pulling for the same goal, just like you would in a team. And talking about the family too, about the theater family. It's almost like a Venn diagram, while there's all these different theaters that you mentioned, we're not in competition with each other.
That's
we overlap.
the other great
An
thing.
actor
Yes.
from this show is over there, a
Yeah.
director comes in, and you pick up ideas from somebody who's been in another theater, and they bring something too. Everyone brings something different to every production, I think.
And everybody supports each other too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are family. All of these, the other three actors, the two oldest are the same age as my two oldest kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, while I may not think of them as my kids, they kind of are my kids.
They kind of are,
yeah.
Even though I yell at Marisa in the show here.
What about that Brian Shipper character as a director? How's he doing?
Well, he must be doing something right. We keep him around.
I don't know. He casted us, so.
And speaking of directing, aren't you going to be directing something this year, dear?
I am. Actually, Corson's next show is 'Twas the Night. It is it's one big Christmas show made up of 5 smaller scripts, and one of them is mine.
Awesome.
Yeah. The one I'm doing is Christmas Song by Len Jenkins, and I'm very, very excited. I have sort of the one quieter, more less comedic one in the 5, and so I get the nice little task of quieting everything down and maybe depressing a few people, and then the next
it builds it
script
back up
kicks
after
in
that.
and it's super funny and everyone laughs. So I think that will be very interesting to be a part of. It's not your standard show. It's not your standard show, and it's my first time directing. So I really wanted to do this because I knew that I would have a group of 4 other directors plus Brian Shipper leading the whole thing to lean back on, because I know that I will benefit from, the guidance of people who've done things before me.
Well, if you direct as well as you act, you will be a smash.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
it'll
very
be
excited.
great. Yeah. And Dave, as you were shining with the smile of a father figure when Marisa was talking about that, what do you look for when you are choosing directors?
Well,
As a board, what do you look
the round of interviews that we had for our Christmas shows was very competitive. We had some good people come out, and me personally, I'm looking for someone who can bring a preliminary vision. You haven't had your nose in the book for weeks, but if they've grasped what the gist of the script is and can bring their vision and bring an energy, that goes a long way with me. And the 5 people that we did pick for this are truly amazing. Some first-time directors and some veteran directors. It's going to be a blast, I think.
Yet another thing to look forward to in the 40th season. In the meantime, we have, of course, American Hero starting up Friday, October 14th. Marisa Moser, Dave Bakke, who are in the cast. Dave's also a board member. Marisa's going to be directing later in the year. So great to have you both along. And Marisa has answered these questions before. So, Dave, it's your first time on the show. I'm sure it won't be the last. But when you're not part of the entertainment and arts scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
I like to be outdoors in my yard and garden when I'm not rehearsing or memorizing lines. But I also volunteer at track meets in the spring. I work at the state track meet, the Howard Wood Dakota Relays, and I've worked some national meets up at SDSU.
Excellent.
So I try to stay involved with that. It keeps you young.
Yeah.
Being around young people.
In fact, I believe I had a track question in my trivia that I hosted last week. How many false starts can you get before you're DQ'd? All right, Marisa. What do you like to be entertained by?
Honestly, your standard Netflix, Hulu, things like
Okay.
that. I'm very much
You're a binger?
I'm a couch potato. I just got a Nintendo Switch Lite recently, so I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. But I really love kind of having a space for myself to do art that is very just for me. I think that a lot of the things that I do are, they're made to be seen by people. And so I do a lot of playing musical instruments by myself just for fun. I paint. I do some poetry that, again, things that are just for me. But I think that that's very valuable to have certain art that is less for the consumption of others and more for your own self entertainment, because it really is very relaxing to get to be not great at something. It's really nice to not have that pressure of, I've got to meet this deadline, I've got to be off book here, I've got to be this, that. It's really nice to just have that space to be like, this might be a waste of time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So
I doodle.
Yeah.
That's my art form that I do.
It's very fun to just sit and doodle.
But you're right. You do have to have that alone time when you're not flipping the switch to be on as a performer.
Yeah.
Or a creative in that way, but still be creative just for your own mind's sake. And
I used to do that between classes. I would get old notes and like flip to the back and just draw little cartoons on them, and things like that. Just something a little funny to get my mind off things. And I think that sort of mentality towards some creative pursuits is really, really helpful for me.
Well, we're all thankful that the both of you have chosen to make Mighty Corson Art Players part of your expression of creativity, and looking forward to being up there next weekend. It starts on Friday, October 14th. My lovely and I will be in attendance on the 15th and volunteering on the 22nd. So we'll see you a couple of times.
That'd be great.
All right. Thank you both so much. Appreciate your time being on the Dave Holly Hour.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you so much for having us.
And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463. Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
And thanks again, everybody. And first of all, to my great guests, Allyson Morgan, Marisa Moser, and Dave Bakke. Thanks to the man that put the R&R wine bar, Ricardo Terabelsi. Both of this week's conversations were recorded there. Most of all, though, thank you for your interest in Sioux Empire Arts Entertainment. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the follows, everything else that comes along with this. And it's just, I'm so appreciative of it that we are now at 150 episodes. But by the way, if you haven't done so far, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you follow on Facebook and or Instagram, you are automatically entered in our Pizza with a Podcaster contest. And if you just don't know where to find it, you can always just go online. All 150 episodes now at DaveHollyHour.com. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, I'm Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by Posh Boutique, The Sky in Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and Sonny's Pizzeria. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to DaveHollyHour.com and look for a coffee cup icon in the lower left. Don't forget to stay up to date on the show on Twitter and Instagram. Follow the Dave Holly Hour on Facebook, and you'll be automatically entered in our Pizza with a Podcaster contest. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.